Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, members of the body, people use the word hero too much. We have cheapened it. We use it to describe football players and politicians. We even use it derisively at times to describe people we think are being too eager or self-promoting. Most of us will serve our time here with pride without truly earning that title. Mr. Speaker, the words I just shared with you are from Air Force Major Mark Riznacki. They are just a few words Major Riznacki sent to his family in an email after spending the night at Ballard Air Force Base just north of Baghdad while he was treating some of the most traumatic injuries he had ever seen. Major Riznacki's words would become the first public account of Army Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cashe's remarkable actions on the night of October 17th, 2005. During a nighttime mounted patrol near a village with heavy enemy presence, the Bradley fighting vehicle that Sergeant Cashe was commanding was struck by an IED and engulfed in flames. A soldier on the ground said that what happened next was like a movie. Sergeant Cashe, wounded and fuel-soaked, set about freeing injured and dying men, his boys, as he called them, from the burning armored vehicle. During the rescue effort, Sergeant Cashe's uniform caught fire. The wounds he sustained were staggering, but he didn't stop. The enemy noticed Sergeant Cashe's movements while helping his brothers in arms, and they opened fire on him. Still, Sergeant Cashe persevered. Again and again, he went back to save his brothers from that Bradley. He refused to give up. When all was said and done, he had pulled 6 soldiers from the burning vehicle. Sergeant Cashe sustained second and third degree burns over the majority of his body, but he wouldn't accept medical treatment until his fellow soldiers had received the care they needed. Why? Because as a leader, that is what he was trained to do. You place the lives of those in your charge above your own. When medevac helicopters began to arrive, Sergeant Cashe refused evacuation, insisting that all the other wounded soldiers be evacuated first. Again, Mr. Speaker, this is what leaders do. In his email home, Major Riznacki said of Sergeant Cashe, "The man I met deserves to be called a hero. Years from now, will his friends remember what he did? Will I?" 3 weeks later, Sergeant Cashe died of his injuries. He was only 35 years old. It took years for Army investigators to fully understand and appreciate the significance of Sergeant Cashe's actions, including details about the enemy fire. But finally, in December of 2021, more than 16 years after Sergeant Cashe's death and an act of Congress extending the deadline, Sergeant Cashe became the first, and as it stands today, the only black service member since 9/11 to be recognized with our military's highest combat decoration, the Medal of Honor. It took 16 years for us to get this one right. When I think back on my time wearing the uniform, I come back to Major Riznacki's question over and over. Years from now, will we remember? Will we remember heroes like Sergeant Cashe? It is our duty to tell stories like this to each other, to our children, to our nation. It is our duty to remember great Americans like Sergeant Cashe. It is our duty to live our lives that are worthy of Sergeant Cashe's type of sacrifice. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, not just during Black History Month, and not just on this day, but every day, I'm honored to recognize and remember my fellow soldier, Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cashe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.